Welcome, everybody, to the Price Report. As we promised, every single Wednesday, we bring you someone from around the blockchain, someone that's interesting, someone that's in-depth, someone that has spent their whole, a good portion of their life in cryptocurrency. I call these people crypto lifers. And this person also helped me out when I first started in YouTube, and I've been working with him behind the scenes for a long time. I greatly respect him. He always finds that 100x gem. He's known as Mr. 100x. My buddy, Francis Dunn, man. Francis, thank you for coming on to the channel. He's also known as the Crypto Lifestyle. And yeah, how you been, Francis? How's your day going? How's everything been going for you?
So far so good, man. This past 3 months been incredible. Found some, some new markets that's emerging, and I've just been sharing that with everybody. No complaints, bro. No complaints. It's a bear market for most, but for me, it's been pretty damn good.
Yeah, I seen you in the field yelling, 100x, baby. Like this guy's looking at me. It's interesting because I got into Pepe, and then once I started looking at Pepe, you were talking about a Pepe like a few weeks before. I was confused because like I do so much charting, and I'm always helping people, tutoring and stuff like that. And then but I always catch things probably not at the very, very beginning, but I try to catch them as early as humanly possible. And you started being like, we got into Pepe before that Pepe. Like there was a Pepe on Bitcoin, and I was like, what does he mean there was a Pepe? So I started researching it. You kind of got me into ordinals. Then I made my first inscribed ordinal somewhere in March. Just one of my thumbnails that looked like me. Like it was like Bitcoin punching the US dollar out. I thought it would be kind of cool. And I had scribed something. So explain how you're able to do this. Like ever since I've known you, you've been able to 100x. You get to the behind the scenes. You tend to know devs, projects. How did you immerse yourself so deep into cryptocurrency and find this niche that a lot of people would love to have, but you seem to be able to recreate it over and over again? That's what amazes me about you.
Yeah, no, it's so funny you bring that up, because that one video there where I was in the field yelling, 100x, this and that, it was actually about 800x. Another commenter came on and said, hey, bro, it's so funny. I put on my YouTube app in the feed. I see everybody complaining about the bear market. This random guy in the field screaming with his phone that he hit X amount of X's. But look, this is what I will tell people, right? Especially like if you're on YouTube or if you're just watching, just crypto in general, it could be a burnout, right? It could be, it all adds up and we get burnt out. What I recommend is people take a little break, take a step back and regroup, relook things, and maybe even rebrand, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what I did, right? And when you take that break, man, it really allows your brain to reset. And then you can actually take that time to do some proper research. So it's all about the REs. You know what I mean? And that's what I did, bro. A lot of people say it could hurt your channel. I was like, nah, man, I need the break for my brain. And during that time, I went back to my guns, which is proper research, right? That's what I tell people, bro. You need to have proper research and have the time to rest. Once you do that, you can kind of like, you know what I mean? Like settle in. And sure enough, man, on that computer, I heard a good friend of mine talk about Bitcoin NFTs. I'm not an NFT guy, so I didn't really give it much much of my time. And sure enough, I looked a little bit deeper into it, and I realized this was not NFTs. It was really like artifacts, right? And these Satoshis have certain times and dates behind them. Anyways, it really captured my attention, and I had my aha moment. And then we saw this notion of allowing Bitcoin to have fungibility of tokens, kind of like Ethereum and Solana has, right? So BRC20s. And you know me, I'm all about the tokens, and to your first question there about the Pepe, the first one was the Pepe BRC20s, and then the ERC one saw that, and that one went wild because of the liquidity. You could go to Uniswap, you could get in, you could get out. You didn't have to do something we call inscription that requires 4 lines of codes. So the barrier to entry was a little bit harder for BRCs, right? And the one on the ERC one really took off because of those things I mentioned. Now, when I was looking at the risk to reward, it only cost us $3 at the time for 1,000 tokens. Those same 1,000 tokens for one was 280, right? With 280. So if you look at the math, that's 0.003 cents, right? That's 800x right there. So, and then we had another one, memes on Bitcoin, which was the first meme token to go on Bitcoin. And all of a sudden, this rise of meme coins on Ethereum started to happen. So maybe it was a little bit of luck, but it had to do a lot of conviction and skill as well, and you have to have a little bit of luck in anything you do, any business, marketing, and whatever it is, crypto investments, whatever it is, there always is some form of luck, but there's also a big chunk of that is skill as well. So again, to answer your question, take some time off. Don't think it's going to hurt like with your business, and just reset the brain and go back into the research room, man. See if you can find some gems.
I used to say the word luck all the time. He's lucky. And then when I finally got some success in my life, was able to quit my 9-to-5, was able to kind of start doing what I want to do, like hang out with people like you on a random Wednesday and interview. And instead of getting, go back to your cubicle and work, I realized that, a lot of things that got me where I was, you could call it luck, but I would say luck is just preparation meets opportunity, man. You're prepared. Like, you are destined to continue to grind, right? You don't sit there and just say, oh, it's going to happen to me. It's going to float right into me. Like, you go for it, man. You climb those mountains. You dig the tunnels. Like, you go deep, man. And there's a reason why it happened to you the way it did. There's a reason why you keep grinding. There's a reason why you are the crypto lifestyle man. And you've been ahead of a lot of trends. I have to be honest. I've been watching you for, I think, 3 years now, ever since we started linking up and I was able to get an opportunity. If anyone knows, when I had 8,000 subscribers, maybe even less, he was getting really busy with a lot of behind the scenes work. He was dealing with a lot of projects, and he was making maybe a video a week, and he wanted to put more content out, and maybe even more, but he wanted to put more content out on his channel. He reached out to some YouTubers, and we had a little team, and we were making awesome content. And for me, it was a big deal because I had to get my green screen right, I had to get my lighting right, and it actually put me to another level. So I always really appreciate that. I'll always remember you. No matter where I go, man, you're coming with me. No matter where you go, I know I'm going with you. So, I keep my relationship strong for anyone that I've ever remembered that's helped me or done, or even just work with me in a positive manner. And I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, and I always remember it. You've always told me, hey, you don't have to keep thanking me, but I just want you to know publicly, man, I really appreciated it, and it means a lot to me, And to me, I may be a Sally, I may be a softy, but I have a big heart, and friendships and relationships are important to me. Without strong relationships, I feel like this life is just kind of pointless. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up. That's how we got together. I was trying to grind, he was trying to grind, and when two grinders meet each other and it works, you know what I mean? And I respect people that grind. Most of my friends are grinders. You know what I mean? Like, I like to befriend people that are grinding. That's what I find interesting. If you're in my circle, you're a hustler, you're a grinder, you're getting it done. So now explain, you just said inscription. A lot of people still have no idea what we're talking about. Like, they have not a clue when we say the word inscription. I'm still even like I got into VMPX, right? And I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it for maybe a year. We'll see what happens. I have faith in Jack Levine. I have faith in what that could do. And, who knows? I'm willing to I threw $700 in. It wasn't like my life savings. And again, when I do invest in these things, everyone, I don't put in, I put in what I'm willing to lose, especially in a new upcoming technology. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go all in for $10,000 and hope I'm going to hit the big one. But, one or two might actually make a play, and then you could roll that into something else once you have some house money. But explain what an inscription is. Explain what's going on here. What is a BRC20? What is sat hunting? Now I'm finding that, a sat that's older is worth more than a newer sat. And people are trying to get the oldest sats from the first blockchains. And it's getting deeper than I even realized. And it's almost a full-time job just being a BRC20 person. In my trading group, we have a BRC20 section now, really influenced through you because I realized it was important. I wanted to be at the forefront. And we have a group of people now in my trading group that are exclusively BRC20 guys, and they love it,
So the first point there, inscription is pretty much when you mint. So replace the word inscription with the word mint, okay? Now, the difference with on Bitcoin is it's immutable. There's no metadata to alter or change. There's no smart contracts, right? So it's not governed by somebody who thinks, like, you may, believe in somebody, you think he's a good guy, and maybe he is, but that smart contract gets hacked, has some bugs, gets exploited. So from a security standpoint, there's no smart contracts. It's actually governed by the same rules and laws, consensus as Bitcoin. So it's actually backed by a Satoshi. When you inscribe something, okay, for the BRC20 token's sake, it's essentially not, okay, let me take a step back. Bitcoin is essentially giving us the ability to save files on top of it, okay? So that could be text files, that could be pictures like NFT art, and that could also be code. And when you inscribe certain lines of code, it now pushes back to you these fungibility of tokens, okay? Just like ERCs. So, and we have .sats domains as well, which is another use case, right? So essentially, to simplify this for your audience, Lifer, ordinals comes down to 3 categories. There's, let's just call it art for now, okay? A lot of like NFTs out there, let's call it that, but it's really Bitcoin artifacts. And then there is .sats domains, which is similar to .eth domains and .btc domains. And now there are BRC20 tokens, okay? There's a new update that happened, but I don't want to discuss that. It's called incursive inscriptions, which now gives you more room to actually inscribe. The limit is about 4 MB. But yeah, the specifics really works for BRC20 tokens, man. It works just like ERC20 tokens. There's projects being deployed on top of Bitcoin. The things that we thought Bitcoin couldn't do, it's actually doing right now. Obviously, without the smart contract, self-execution side. And yeah, the ordinal theory, like with Sats hunting, bro, it's really crazy because when you know that how Bitcoin is 14 years old, right? And when you compare, let's call it Bitcoin NFTs to Ethereum NFTs, And you know that's a guy that has to launch a new token when this actually came from Satoshi's supply. You know, like there's something called block 9. That's the first block that was ever mined by Satoshi that circulates. That holds memorabilia. That's historical value. That's not some random guy making random art with fluorescent caterpillars selling it to people. You know what I mean? So to know that how Satoshi himself mined that block, Sats hunters like myself are going through millions of Satoshis. There's 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin. Dude, the process works, man. We have literally went over about $100 million worth of Bitcoin, and we still have not found a block 9. Some people have. Now, that's, to me, one of the main important ones in terms of value from a historical standpoint. Now, if you look at the museum, you know, right, it's the same sort of like asset class, right? It's history, okay? You are unearthing the remnants of Bitcoin's history, literally, right? To know that's from Satoshi is more powerful than anything else. Now, there's another block called Block 78, which was the first block that's circulating that was from someone outside of Satoshi, which was Hal Finney. They used to talk on Bitcoin Talk. So we're really going into the nitty-gritty things and excavating these Satoshis, isolating it, and then inscribing it onto Bitcoin's network to make it tradable. And then you could also attach a photo. So let me simplify things for your audience here, Lifer. You know, imagine now that we know Satoshis have a time and a date, we can now find a Satoshi that's on a cultural date. Look at the Bitcoin pizza transaction. We have a bunch of Satoshis from that as well. 10,000 Bitcoins was paid for a pizza, okay? Now, doesn't it make sense if I actually own that Satoshi, right, from that transaction, people could verify this on the blockchain, and then, like let's just say I was into art, and I put like a Bitcoin pizza art, right, that represents that Satoshi. Now, there's nothing random about that. There's history, there's cultural events, and there's value there, right? So that's what we're going off of, and that's a very small example. But yeah, the more valuable ones when it comes to sat hunting, you know, is the block 9s, right? That, you know, it was in Satoshi's wallet. Now, a lot of people still won't get this because I think like they're really wired and programmed their brains on how Ethereum NFTs work with the rarity and all these kinds of things. But again, this is historical cultural value, very similar to artifacts that archaeologists will find in, you know, in the sand of Egypt. You know what I mean? They brush it off. It's really like that. So that's the sat hunting side. And the ordinals really comes onto those 3 categories as well. It's an emerging market. You know, they're talking about all these things, you know, the latest FUD with the SEC always attacking, you know, the markets. You know, they're saying how Bitcoin is not these securities, blah, blah, blah. You know, so we feel a lot safer there as well, although you never know when they're going to change their mind on anything. But that's pretty much the definitions when it comes to those asset classes. And brother, it is, let me just tell you, it's booming, really booming hard.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have my Sats wallet now. I have, and let's break down a little bit about Alex Labs, right? I started looking at Alex, and it's going to be the main swap, right? And you can stake. You know, it seems like there's, you know, it's kind of like the Uniswap, right, for Bitcoin in a way, right? It's the first real big swap. Then you have Stacks playing a role, right, as an underlining. I don't know if we call it a layer 2, I guess. Is like, I mean,
yeah, layer 2.
Yeah,
that's correct.
And it's, you know, it's basically your Arbitrum, your optimism for Ethereum, right? And
exactly.
So these are poised right now. So if this market continues to rip, if Bitcoin starts to go up more in value too and become more of a center stage entity because of what's happening with the SEC right now, one of the topics that I wanted to discuss is how the SEC is crunching down on Bitcoin, right? I mean on altcoins, right? Like we know they're basically saying that. And Michael Saylor was doubling down on this idea. He's saying, you know, he predicts Bitcoin dominance will double, right? And as they continue to crush altcoins, and it's funny, man, not only did they crush altcoins in a way, they crushed some of the biggest altcoins in the game. Like they try to talk Cardano into being a security, Atom into security. These are coins that have been out for 4 to 5 years, not some just new random coin that just popped out of nowhere. Like I almost fell on the floor when they were calling Polygon, you know, Atom and Cardano securities. It was just like it was blowing my mind. All have utility. All are clearly used way above. And we want to get away from the word cryptocurrency and start using the word crypto asset, right? So we can say, no, it's an asset. It's not a currency. It may be a currency, like a square is a rhombus, but a rhombus isn't or a rhombus is a square, but a square ain't a rhombus. You know, it's like it has some of the pieces, but it's not. That's not its personality. Like that's not its the whole description of that asset, right? It has far more going for it than that. So. Yeah, with that being said, like, you know, what's your take? Are you a Michael Saylor fan? You know, do you like to stack Bitcoin too? I never really asked you this. Like, are you, you know, do you keep a big bag of Bitcoin? Are you always adding to your Bitcoin stacks on the low? Is that something that you're looking at?
Yeah, I mean, in regards to Bitcoin, I highly recommend everybody, you know, have some form of Bitcoin on them. You know, I think Bitcoin right now, even at these prices, is revered as a luxury asset. You know, most people can't afford it. who the heck could really afford, the average guy could afford 25K, 30K, whatever the price is, even 10K. Some instances, 5K. You know, obviously it's a little bit the lower the better for the average guy, but it's really a luxury item right now, asset right now. And as you know, the price goes up in the years to come, it's going to get that much more harder to own one. So you best be collecting Satoshis right now, whilst you're never going to be able to own one. So that's that there. And Michael Saylor, I mean, like, look, he is good for the space. He did a great job in onboarding people and giving Bitcoin the mainstream widespread publicity it once had. But I think he has a narrative of his own. I'm not saying it's sinister, but it could be self-serving. I think his business is based around Bitcoin. I still believe that how Bitcoin is the stepping stone for everything, sure. But, you know, we still need innovation in this space. And I invite other blockchains that could do things that Bitcoin really can't. Although I'm getting much more, you know, soaked into the Bitcoin market. I'm not a maxi, right? Because to me, that's being ignorant. You know, it's like not allowing entrepreneurs and creative minds and bright minds to come in and showcase and add value to the overall landscape of the crypto markets. So I'll never be a maxi, but I just feel, yeah, I agree with him to a certain degree that Bitcoin is the safest bet. You know, you don't have to worry about so many things. You know, if the SEC is saying that how it's not a security, that bolsters the industry, but at the same time, they could change their mind on anything. So, like, I don't really even pay attention to news, bro. You know, I really don't. Like, it's fine and all. Sure, let's talk about it. But, like, for me, it's like the more energy, you know, it reminds me of all the grannies on Facebook talking about all this shit, like on, you know, on the news. It's just so negative. And it kind of like, it breaks your concentration and your grind and your determination, you know? So I just try to like focus on the things that I could control. Whatever the news says, it says. Whatever the SEC wants to do, they could do anything. What am I supposed to do? You know, switch my tune to them every single time they decide to like, you know, get upset. They wake up on the wrong side of the bed. So for me, I focus on the task in front of me, what I could control. And that's all about like, you know, tapping into the next emerging big thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's the psychology I go with anyways. And it's been serving me pretty good for the number of years I've been in the space.
I got excited too because now, like you said, you know, the inscriptions, but now there's curse or in cursive, or I forgot the word
in cursive.
Yeah. And the thing is, you know, now you could play a video game on it, right? Because they said they could connect multiple 4 megabit sections into it, and then you could, you know, I was looking at that article. That was interesting. I'm the same way with you, man. Like even when I was into music back in the day, I never watched the Grammys. Like I always thought it was just like it was just a bunch of BS. You know what I mean? Like everyone knew each other up in the upper echelons. It was all like a party for the rich. Like, and you had to kind of get in there and. You know, I was never into that, you know, the populace and what they were forcing down our throat. I always kind of went my own way. That's why I got into Bitcoin early when no one was really paying attention to it. You know, I started researching at 350. I found out what it really did when it was about $1,000. Wish I had bought the 350, but I started getting in, and I've been convicted and still continuously buy Bitcoin. You know, I bought a whole one at 19,000 in front of everyone on my channel because I wanted to. Oh yeah. I kept seeing all these guys that did TA all the time, right? They did TA. I never saw, and I've even seen some of them live trade, but like I wanted them to say like, who are you? Like, who are you as a person? Like, what makes you you? And like, I always wanted to show and prove, right? So one day I sat there, I kept waiting, and I pulled the trigger for the 19,000. It went to like 16.8, but now I look at it, I'm still up $7,000 on 19 grand, right? Which is again, I mean, a luxury item. I'm lucky that I was able to do that. But when I look back on it, inflation has gotten even worse since that time where I bought it back in like November. So you kick inflation in the teeth, you keep the money that you have, and you have your own money. People are lining up at SVB Bank waiting for their money, and you have your money in your own hardware wallet. Like you're not sitting there waiting to find out whether you're going to get your money back. I asked my daughter the other day, I said, what's better, having your money in the bank or having money in Bitcoin? She's 8 years old, and she just listens to me through the live stream. Sometimes she picks up things I didn't even know she picks up on, right? I'm like, and so I wanted to ask her this question, and she goes, well, you know, Bitcoin, it's your money, and only you can lose it. Like, if you lose your, you know, she's like, if you lose your password or something, you can lose it. She's like, but the banks, they can lose your money without you. Like, they could just lose your money. So, like, you're the only one that controls your money when you have Bitcoin. And I looked at her like, spot on, baby. Like, spot on. You know what I mean? So
she's going to have sound economics when she grows up. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. She's just like your kids, man. They're going to know the deal. So another thing we're seeing is they tried to freeze the assets on Binance US, right? Another kind of scare tactic going on. It did hurt the US markets. How do you see this kind of playing out? Do you think we're going to actually keep pushing forward? Is there going to be a big issue with this? I'm just kind of wondering what your thoughts are on, and again, you kind of said you don't listen to the news, but is there any, do you see like
is my face showing that? My face is like,
no.
I'll tell you what, I'll put it like this, lifer. In 2 months, we will forget that this even happened. Okay?
Amen.
And we'll be going back to the. This is why I tell people this is normal crypto bear market stuff.
Yep.
This FUD tries to come in. Why? Because their goal ultimately rather is to hinder the markets. Okay? Because when you hinder the market, you make people not as determined, right, or demotivated to get into it because they look at the price. Oh man, I bought Bitcoin at 40K, now it's at 20K. Man, screw this, it's a scam. So they know that. They know the psychology of people. They know that how most people are broke. They know most people are slaves to the system that they created. So the psychology of it all is to distill fear into people or to ruin the price, and they do a very good job of that. Now, if you've been in this space over time, you know Bitcoin always wins. You know the crypto markets always recovers, and it will survive moving forward. So for me, I've seen this happen like year in, year out, and I'm sure you could relate. It's just part of the game and the grind. So if that's the case, why should we really, care so much if we know what the outcome's already going to be? It's not going to do nothing, bro.
I study history. They're going to keep printing the dollar, right? And we know that for a fact.
Yeah,
and we know they're going to be incompetent in the government. And we know that for a fact. We've seen this for years.
Yeah, like look at USDT. Like they've been going after them forever. USDT is still there. When they go to court, USDT pretty much wins all the time. Yep. Right? They could slap you with lawsuits. Doesn't mean that how they're right or they're going to win. They could do a million lawsuits. It doesn't matter. They're just trying to, again, distill fear. It's a fear mongering tactic. Look at FTX. We all know they're corrupt. Why isn't that guy still in jail? Now there's rumors of FTX coming back to market in Q4 or something like that. It's madness.
It's madness.
So yeah.
And that's the one exchange they never talked about. They never did anything, but they put a fine. They go with a magnifying glass over Binance US. Guy who grew up and worked in McDonald's. You know what I mean? Shenzhen Zhao. He came from.
Dude, he's from Canada, man. He's in Montreal. He went to school over there too. So Vitalik too. He's right down the road. He went to University of Guelph, I believe it was.
And you're born and raised in Canada. You're a Canadian.
No. I came when I was young. When I was around 12.
Okay.
Old ass man now. When I was 12, I'm originally from the islands. But they're all from around the corner here. Like the guys that actually go by the book and do what they're supposed to do are the ones who normally get in trouble for no reason. Look at Coinbase. The SEC said it was a legit security, whatever. Okay, we give you the license to trade, and then they slapped them with all these things, right? Now Binance is going by the book. Everybody has your opinion. They say CZ is this, he's that. We're lucky we have a guy like CZ who owns the world's largest centralized exchange to represent crypto. We are freaking blessed.
Yeah, he's not in the backdoor room with all these creepy, corrupt people. When you say the islands, is that Barbados or I'm
from Trinidad originally.
Trinidad,
I'm originally from Trinidad.
Yeah. So cool.
But
man.
I'm going to Barbados at the end of the month. Flying the team out. But yeah.
Maybe I gotta meet you out there, man.
Dude, come on down. Crypto life or crypto lifestyle. Come on. We're one of the same.
Well, that's what I love the space, right? Like my dad was an iron worker, my mom was a school teacher, my grandfather was a bricklayer. I come from Irish and then Irish American labor, right? Hardworking people, union people. You come from the islands, and we both get to find financial freedom, and we both get to be able to express ourselves through cryptocurrency, right? Your new studio, awesome, man. Everyone, you got to go watch his videos right now. I'm just in love with it. It's clean. It shows your attention to detail. It looks like you hired some interior designer to place everything. It's just beautiful, man. I'm awe inspired by it. I want to redesign where I'm at and make it look amazing.
Good, man. Thank you, though.
But I wasn't just want I was just impressed by the visuals. I like that, man. I'm into details, man. And you put a lot of work into everything you do. And even the mic, man, that mic is sick, man. Thing is awesome.
Some people make fun of me. They say it's bigger than your head. It's bigger than my head. Look.
Yeah, but you know what it is? It just got that texture and that feel. I'm all about that look, man.
This is the broadcasting mic, man. Yeah, it's one of the old school 1934 RCAs. But it's a AEA. Yeah, it's a nice mic.
Yeah.
Does the job give you that nice bass?
Right.
Oh, good.
So last topic we were going to discuss is just CPI data. Today we're having a Fed rate hike or not hike. It looks like they're not going to raise rates anymore. What's your take on the Federal Reserve? What's your take on the idea that, they basically think they can continuously print money, but yet also get the inflation rate down? To me, it's laughable. It's ridiculous. Do you have the same thing going on in Canada? What do you deal with that? How do you deal with all that?
Buddy, Canada has it bad. You want to talk about the housing market in terms of interest rates, man, per month? It's crazy. They are impoverishing people. It's almost like this. If I was to rob a bank down the road, okay, I stole $2 million, and then I go to the same restaurant down the road and I start eating the steak, and the cop that was called to arrest me sees me eating the steak, and then he says, hey, don't worry, man. It's okay. Next time you'll learn. Just don't rob the bank again next time. There's no accountability. Who's the one in control of the money supply? Who's the one who's creating inflation? Inflation is not a natural phenomenon. So the people behind the scenes are the ones who are messing up. Why are you making, the citizens of your countries pay for that mess up, right? If the government is making the currency worth less, it makes no sense. There's no accountability, so why would they ever be changed? Okay, so to me, it's all a scam. You are punishing the wrong people, right? What you need to do is do something about your system, but they know better. Why would they do that? They're making money off of all of these things. When you understand that government is a business, it's not here to make the world better. They got people to think of us as employees. Their main objective is to remain profitable amongst themselves. Use us as their workers and slaves, bro. That's literally how this world operates. When everything turns into a business, human advancement is not number one on the list. That's the last thing on the list. As a business, you are supposed to remain profitable, and that's how they revere their whole operation. And that's the best way I could describe it to people to understand. I remember trying to talk to my parents. When our parents were growing up, bro, you think they ever talked about inflation? That word never existed. That's only become a real word the past 20, maybe 15 years. You know what I'm saying? In our generation lifetime here. So back in the day too, one parent could go to work, the other parent could stay at home, they could have 10 kids, pay off the house in 3 years. You can't do that anymore. As the years went by, well, then the mom had to go work with the dad, and then you from 10 kids you got 5, then you got 3, then you got 2. Today you can't even afford to have a kid, or a home. So they're impoverishing us is what they're doing. And that whole system of the CPI shit, it's like, what they're going to have to do is introduce a brand new system, a brand new mechanism, call it the digital currency, whatever you want to call it. They cannot fix this with inflation, hiking that. It doesn't make any sense to me. Again, it's like a hot air balloon. It has a hole. It's falling down, but they're patching it up, trying to keep it afloat. At some point, that shit's going to crash. And hiking rates is not the solution.
I love that you mentioned our parents, right? Because it's funny when I remember when you become 5, 6, 7, you're finally 8 or 9 years old, you're able to kind of have a conversation with your parents and somewhat understand what's going on. And the first conversations with my parents ever was we would go to the grocery store and I'd come home and my mom probably told me this 400 or 500 times because I remember it from being a kid. And she goes, my mom and dad used to hand me a nickel or a quarter. And she's like, I would go get bread for 5 cents, milk for 10 cents. I literally got all these things for literally a quarter to 50 cents. And she would say it all the time to me. And at the time, she didn't even really know what inflation was. She didn't say it to me. It wasn't but I sat there, and as I got older and I got into cryptocurrency, I heard these stories from my mom, and I was like, wow, inflation. Now it's 5, now it's 7. I made a video that I'm going to put out on social media today when I was at the store yesterday, and the cereal boxes are just getting thinner and thinner, and soon they'll be the size of a credit card, right? It'll be like, what is going on here, And that's how they try to hide it from you, but you're getting less and you're paying more. And as they continue to print money, no one's getting raises, right? It's not like it's getting any better. Another thing I talk about as the strength of Bitcoin is, human beings, right? Sad to say, we get sick. My dad passed away last month. You get sick, right? No one's meant to be here forever. It is what it is. And and I don't want to put any, bad juju on anyone. Let's just say Project A, right? We'll call it a coin, a certain coin. And they have someone like a Charles Hoskinson that created the coin. What if he got sick? What if something happened to him? What if he, and then that person couldn't run the company as well? It would probably affect the asset, right? Bitcoin doesn't have that. You can't go pick it outside the Bitcoin office. You can't go and subpoena the president of Bitcoin, right? They're doing an XRP. You can't drag Bitcoin through an entire court. To me, this is my one last cool topic to break down is who really was Satoshi Nakamoto? Was it a group of people? Was it an entity? Was it a freedom fighter? It's almost like someone knew what was happening before. Was it given to us from an alien? Did someone come and what's your hypothesis on where Bitcoin really came from? I've never asked you this. This is something that's just coming up.
Yeah, that's a very good question, man. And everyone will have a different opinion, but I truly believe he was one guy. It was one person. It wasn't a group of people, and he just had a plan. He saw the corruption in what was going on in the world with world's government, not just America, world's government. Yep. And he was just a computer nerd that could have wrote code. And instead of protesting for change, right, a lot of people get their little picket and their signs and protests. Nothing happens. You never get real change from protesting. You get real change from technological breakthroughs. Okay, right? That's where real change happens. And he knew that he could have built a system that probably nobody would have understood, or majority of people wouldn't have understood at the time. And it's so funny how he launched it during the same year of that housing market crash. And he gave us a blessing where if they try to do that again, right? In the future, we have an alternate economy to go and, resort to today, which we do have. So God bless him. And I believe it was just an individual that did this. Hal Finney, people say that how, they went to school.
He was in there somewhere. He was connected somehow.
Yeah, but he did have his friends, right? Like kind of like how I met you, right? Lifer online, right? He met people in Bitcoin Talk, and then they all colluded together to make this thing we know as Bitcoin and blockchain technology. So I just feel it was just he was one guy. He had like-minded, a shared belief with people, and they came together to do it. But Satoshi was one guy, in my opinion, and I still think he's around today. I don't think he died. None of that stuff. He's around.
That was
he's
my
just
next
too
question.
Smart.
That was my
he's
next
way
question.
Too smart to, yeah. He's that smart. He knew the repercussions of what this could be, and he didn't want to give up his freedom for that. But he gave the world another opportunity.
So are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
Some people say I am. Some people say I am. No. Hell no, bro. No, I can never. No, don't even put me and him in the same sentence.
Yeah, no.
That guy.
I mean, we were so blessed that we were saved, really, in a way. Like, I look at this kind of like a freedom fight for like the digital freedom, right? Because this is kind of what they're trying to hold back from. Like, we realize how important money is. What people don't realize, in America, we had colonial script. We had our own form of money that worked really well. We even had some silver, and it was working well. And the international banking system, the Bank of England, said, you snuff that out. If we don't snuff that out, and it's a great documentary. It's 3 hours long called Money Masters, and it's on YouTube. Someone like uploaded it all like analog. It looks like, but you get the gist. It is so intriguing, and this guy breaks down basically the beginning and the end of kind of how they circumvented, free money in America. How we had our own form of money, and they said, well, if they let that out the bag, the whole world will figure this out, and we won't have control. We won't be able to print them to zero. We won't be able to just destroy them through fiat currency. So it's, and that's why I love people like you, man. You make it fun and exciting to learn new things. You know what I mean? I love your energy. You always are well spoken. You always have a lot to say. Like, and when you say it, it's not you're not blowing smoke. It's like you fill the mind with amazing thoughts and ideas. I don't think I think you downplay it. I don't think you realize, in my eyes, how much of like a revolutionary you are in the crypto space. People really need to realize, and that's why I wanted to spotlight you as I begin to grow. People have to know who you are, man, and they have to go to your channel and check them out. So with that being said, I wanted people any last words you wanted to say kind of about ordinals. If there's any new ordinal we should be looking out. If there's anything I could be, right now, today, a guy was at my channel. I sent Bitcoin to my Taproot address. Does that mean it's locked? I went over here, like everyone's having some issues, So how do we kind of cool them down? Are there any like safe practices on BRC20? And, should we watch what we mint too? Some people are overzealous and they over mint thinking it's going to be right. And they kind of end up getting sloppy. And so, any safe practices, anything you can tell us, and then tell people where they can find you. And, where your next show is and what you do. Do you go live? Do you make content? And just stuff like that.
Yeah. So basically, in regards to BRC20s and ordinals, if you send Bitcoin to a Taproot address, you're okay. You're fine.
Okay.
Taproot is just the latest upgrade, so it's compatible. 99% of wallets will support that. What I would say about ordinals, guys, is get your head in the books and, get it out of the sand, whatever you want to call it, and look into sat hunting. That's where it's at right now. Anybody could do this. Literally, the Satoshis and the Bitcoin, whether you own 0.1, 0.01, 0.001, or 100, you might be holding a lot more valuable Satoshis in there that's worth more than your Bitcoin. And I know that sounds crazy, but as months rolls out and more people become aware of this, they're going to have their aha moment as well. And anybody could do this. What I'm doing right now is I'm building a rare set inscription tool for the average guy to get in, and pretty much, it's like nominal cost. It's like $20 service fee. People, they use that because they don't have the technical know-how or, resources to do this on their own. So Lifer, as you know me, I'm all about democratizing, access to people who don't have the skills or maybe the money or, to build this, right? So that's what we're doing there. Be on the lookout for that. You guys.
Oh, one thing I forgot too, not to interrupt you, but I want you to talk about how you have sand space. Like, I mean, you're a baller. Like, you bought a plot of sand,
bro.
You also built an entire entire house or an entire basically
I got
a network in an area.
Going on.
Yeah. Talk about your sand development real quick and kind of how much you've put into that and how strong you are in the metaverse too as well. That's fascinating.
Yeah, so people think the metaverse is dead. It's not dead. The hype is obviously not where it was, but just like AI, ChatGPT, the hype isn't there. Is it dead? No. Sandbox is set to go live, I believe, for development spaces that are developed over there rather in September. So what we're doing is we're having live virtual concerts over there. I'm already in touch with artists. You know, I'll give you an example. Instead of having your favorite artist and watching him on YouTube through a 2D window, when he goes on tour, a lot of people, you know, they don't really have the money to hop on a plane and pay for these tickets and go see him, but they do have a computer where they could see him in a 3D shared environment. So we're going to be charging NFT tickets there as well, doing things like that. The metaverse is still going to happen. I got a shit ton of land, not just empty land, but developed land that I paid these certified metaverse builders some good coin for that. So I still have a big bet there. You know, in regards to where you could find me, Lifer, I'm having a new show called Ordinals Uncensored on Twitter and YouTube. You could simulcast, by the way. I can show you how to do that too.
No, but, I stream to Twitter every single day. Yeah, I've been doing that.
Do you really?
Yeah,
okay,
I do that
okay,
through Restream.
Good, you're on that.
Yeah, I've been.
Nice. I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yeah. Every day you'll see me streaming on Twitter every single day. But I mean, I just do it through Restream. It connects, you know, your API, and then I go to Restream, I go to Twitter, I go to Twitch. We used to go to Facebook, and then we also go to Theta TV. You know what I mean? Why not? I just figured I just fill the space.
Rumble is a new one I might mess with. Rumble.
Yeah. Rumble's coming up hard. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, no, so we have a show coming out called Ordinals Uncensored. I'm going to be spending a lot more time on Twitter than I am on YouTube. So yeah, that's it for the most part. That's what I could say. I hope I covered everything there that you asked.
Well, just where do they find you on Twitter too? What's your Twitter handle and what's your YouTube handle?
Crypto Life 7. So that's CRYPTOLIF and then the number 7.
Okay.
You can find me over there.
Excellent, man. Man, thank you so much for your time. You got building to do in the metaverse. You have ordinals to search for, or stats to find. I greatly appreciate you coming on to the show, man. This has been an awesome time for me to connect with you. And I've been meaning to get you on the show for ever since I started the Price Report. And, you know, me being Sam Price, I figured why not we have the Price Report? And we just, all the different connections, all the different people I see, I want to bring that knowledge to the world and to everyone that follows me. So to me, it's karmatic, right? Like if someone helps you or if you find something new, I feel like it's you owe it to the world to kind of spotlight that person, to show them what's happening. And so I'm sure you're going to help me make even more BRC20 money. One last thing, even for me, I had an order. I bought like VMPX, right? But it says non-transferable. I feel like I sent it to the wrong address or I didn't use a taproot at the right time. And I'm like, I get nervous like other people. Is it locked up? Can I never move it? Or am I able to sell it? And what does that mean when it said non-transferable? Like, what's going on there, you know?
Yeah, so since there's no smart contracts on Bitcoin, actually there's a company who claimed they did the first smart contract in 2018. When I have an interview with them, but since there's no smart contracts on Bitcoin, everything is done manual. So to self-execute, you can't. So you have to manually execute. So once you have your tokens in your wallet, you now need to inscribe something called a transfer inscription to that same wallet that you're holding those BRC20 tokens to make it transferable. Okay. So if you go to unisat.io, they make it very easy. You go to the inscription service tool, you put inscribe, and then you put transfer, and they put the code in for you. Then all you have to do is pretty much pay for it, which is whatever the miner fee is, and also your Taproot wallet address where those BRC20s are stored. Once that transfer inscription hits there, you will then see transferable, right? If you're talking, if you're using Unisat. So yeah, definitely inscribe yourself a transfer inscription to transfer out your BRC20 tokens.
And the only way I could sell those is through doing that, right? Like until they're transferred.
Well, it's not about just selling it. It's like if you want to send to another wallet, that's what you'll have to do. So that's what I mean, that how it's very, the barrier to entry is inconvenient for people. And that's why a lot of people don't want to do it, because there's some additional extra steps.
There's always money and stuff like that when everyone else can't figure it out. I've learned in crypto, when you get in early, you get paid, baby.
Don't be lazy, bro. Don't be lazy, because guess what? There's somebody else who's willing to do it, man. Yeah. And that's another example of that. So yeah, just make a transfer inscription, send it to your wallet. It'll be good.
Everybody, my man Francis Dunn, the Crypto Lifestyle. Look out for him on Twitter, on YouTube. He's going to be coming out with even more content. And I'm telling you right now, pay attention, because if something new comes out, he's going to be one of the first people to talk about it. You'll see all these big new channels. They start running about ordinals. They haven't even started talking about it, but you'll see next 2 months, they're going to talk about ordinals, and me and him will be on something new. That will be old news to us.
I want to leave your audience with one thing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The key to this game is for you to seek value before the rest of the market agrees that something is valuable. You know why?
Amen.
Because when they try to catch up to you, they're going to pump your bags. That's the name of the game.
Yeah.